Hello, everyone. This is Brett, and thank you for tuning in. Today is part two in our Cure ranking series. Today, we're going to be ranking each of our individual 10 favorite non-album tracks. If you missed part one, where we ranked all of the studio albums, please check that out. There's a link below. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce the cast. We have Greg Fasolino, who has written for Creem, Fangoria, Trouser Press, Guitar for the Practicing Musician, former member of The Naked and the Dead and Bell Hollow, currently a member of The Harrow, a musical archivist featuring a YouTube channel filled with loads of content, concerts, rare recordings, and interviews. Thank you for joining us once again, Greg.
Let's be back.
And we have my old friend Dream Pop Jesse over there who is returning. If you were a longtime viewer of the channel, you remember Dream Pop Jesse being a guest in some of my early videos. Also, welcome back our pal Kevin Larkin-Angioli. Thank you for joining us, Kevin, in the Crow t-shirt there. And we also have Frank Deserto. Hello, Frank. Frank writes the Systems of Romance music blog. He writes for postpunk.com. Also a member of the musical outfit known as The Harrow. He's also the curator of this year's Cherry Red compilation, No Songs Tomorrow, a Darkwave Journey, which is out now. Also, be sure to check out Frank and Greg's new EP from The Harrow called Cinder Glow, and there will be links for everyone in the description. And I also encourage you to check out some of our past artist rankings. We've covered Nine Inch Nails, Jesus and Mary Chain, Slowdive, Bauhaus, Smashing Pumpkins, Cocteau Twins, Dead Can Dance, which features a guest appearance from Peter Ulrich, Dead Can Dance drummer, The Smiths, Psychedelic Furs, Depeche Mode, Love and Rockets, The Cult, and more. Um, yeah, so The Cure, we're going to be going through the 10 non-album tracks. Oh, and of course, if you're new to the channel and you don't know who I am, my name is Brett. Besides this YouTube channel, a bass player and singer of the band Audra. Also have toured and recorded with project recording artists Black Tape for Blue Girl, as well as Unto Ashes. So we're going to start here, non-album tracks. So we're talking about B-sides, non-album singles, tracks that have been on various compilations. And we are going to start here with Greg, and we're going to go in or in backwards order. So we're going to start with our number 10 favorite and work our way around. So Greg, take it away with your number 10.
Before I get to number 10, I'm going to give a couple of honorable mentions because, as I think we'd all agree, The Cure have just so many great songs that did not fit on any of their albums. So I'm just going to say these ones were so nice, but I couldn't fit them in. Cloudberry, Ariel, A Chain of
Mm,
Flowers, Jumping
mm,
Someone Else's Train,
mm,
The Big Hand, Be the Man, and Signal to Noise.
mm.
I love you guys, but I couldn't fit you in. Number 10, A Man Inside My Mouth, which was the B-side to the 1985 single Close to Me. It's a weirdly catchy, boppy little gem. It's very reminiscent of the sound of some of the stuff on the Walkie Bee. And I just really like it. It's a little bit of a weird track, but I really enjoy it in the breadth of their discography. So, Man Inside My Mouth.
All right, over to you, Jesse, for your number 10.
So, if I were to mention a couple, I would actually mention Exploding Boy and Your God is Fear. A few hours after this, and Man Inside My Mouth would be my honorable mention. So, to start off, actually, I really love A New Day, B side off of Quad Puss. I have the 10-inch and then the 12-inch and a 7-inch. Kind of a cool song. It's got like a drum machine in it and that real grumbly outro with Robert's voice. Love that one.
Right. Kevin, number 10.
Yeah, to echo Greg, there's just so many great songs to pick from. They're like the best B-sides band ever, so this was impossible. So before I get into my list, I know I gave a lot of love to Wild Mood Swings in our album ranking video. Just want to mention there's three songs on the Mint Car singles, Home, A Pink Dream, and Waiting, and they form like a triptych. I've always felt like they're connected, and I really love those songs. They're much better than a lot of songs on Wild Mood Swings, just beautiful kind of love songs, kind of describing a certain situation. So anyway, going on, my number 10, I'm going to go with The Big Hand off of A Letter to Elise. This is the 7-inch. Big Hand is just a glorious Wish B-side. It's got a beautiful bass line. It's got just the guitar tones and guitar lines just make my knees weak. Um, Interesting, strange lyrics. An absolute favorite. Frank and I caught it at Radio City Music Hall live once, which we're so happy about. And I've read from the people who worked on Bowie's Black Star album that it was an influence actually to Lazarus, which I think is really cool. I played them back to back last night. You can definitely hear a slight connection. So number 10, The Big Hand.
Excellent choice. Frank, over to you, number 10.
Yeah, so my honorable mentions, anything off Lost Wishes here. Halo, which I couldn't make room for, but is brilliant. Wrong Number, which I've had a soft spot for. More Than This, To the Sky. So many great songs. But my number 10 is going to be the flexi pop version of Lament from 1982, which is super bizarre, unsettling, druggy. It's recorded with Steve Severin on bass. It's the Cure name only. It's pretty much like a glove track, or in that era of music of theirs, that prolific era of The Glove, Hyena, The Top, Japanese Whispers. And this version of Lament has always been special once I finally discovered it. So number 10.
Yeah. I guess it takes it over to me. I have one honorable mention. First off, Frank, that was a great pick, Lament. Like I didn't think to include that, but it would be in my top 10 if I would have uh yeah. Anyways, I have one honorable mention, and it's the track Delirious Night. It's an outtake from the
Huh.
Disintegration sessions that was included on the triple CD version of it. Um, I love this song. Boris Williams creates this like swirling tribal groove. There's like acoustic guitars, climbing synth line, and Robert Smith's vocals are mixed kind of low, and they're almost like brain tickling when you listen to him in headphones. I was so blown away when they did that. Sydney Opera House show back in 2019 for the 30th anniversary of Disintegration. And they started the show off by playing all the outtakes and B-sides. And they actually did Delirious Night live. And I was so excited. It's such a cool song. And that's my honorable mention. But my number 10, I'm actually going to go to Lost Wishes here. And I'm going to go with the opening track, Ooh Yeah Sound. Uh, I don't know how it's said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sound. But it's the opening track. So Lost Wishes, this came out in 1993, a super rare cassette only release. And when they reissued the Wish album uh, back in 2022, they printed some up. What a treat. There's four instrumentals which all stand on their own. I don't think they need vocals. I think they're beautiful in their own regard. And if Wish had been expanded into a double album, those tracks would have fit in really nicely as little kind of segue tracks in between or whatever. But my number 10, Ooh Yee Sound. And if anyone knows the real pronunciation, what do you guys think it is?
Ouya sound.
Oh,
Ouya
yeah.
sound. Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
Oh,
hard.
yeah.
It's
So,
actually
Definitely.
A Scottish place name. There's an
oh,
actual
really?
place in Scotland. Ouya Sound. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
all right.
The more you
Excellent.
know.
Thank you, Greg. All right. So over to you, Greg, for your number 9.
So number 9, I'm going to go with a B-side to the 2004 single "End of the World" called "This Morning," which I think is a really excellent, mournful track that just absolutely beats the pants off of most of the self-titled album. Why they chose to leave that track off and some of the other songs on there, I really don't understand, but it's a really great track. It's introspective. Um, it's just sad. It's interesting. It's different than it just has a different feel than a lot of the album. I wish it had been on there. So This Morning.
Right on.
I'll add real quick that I included that one on my favorite tracks of the self-titled record because it's on my vinyl copy,
Yeah.
and I consider it part of the record. But I'm glad to hear anybody talk about that song.
Dream Pop Jesse, your number 9.
Number 9 is gonna be. That was really hard to narrow it down because there's so many great songs from the B sides from this album, but I'm gonna go with Snow in Summer from the Just Like Heaven 7-inch. I really love that track. I feel like there's quite a few tracks from the Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me album that made really, really great B-sides, but I was surprised that they just were not on the album. So I couldn't imagine being the person that had to cut them from the album or be the person that decided the final track listing. But I really love that song.
Yeah,
Even the title, Snow in Summer, is just
Yeah.
like such a I love that.
great pick. Kevin, you're number nine.
Okay. Um, my number nine is Fear of Ghosts, which is one of two B-sides. The other one's Too Late on the Love Song 12-inch. Just an amazing track. So epic. We were talking about this in our last video, but Disintegration has a number of long songs on it between the title track and Same Deep Water as You. Fear of Ghosts is also a very long song, and I think would have been right at home on the album, but it already has those long songs. But it just opens up so dramatically. Like you get the guitar lines almost like cut through you,
Yeah.
and as it kind of breaks down, there's just the drums and there's some kind of keyboard effect or something kind of echoing it, like do 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 kind of. There's a sonic quality to this track that I really like. And again, there's kind of more of a murmured Robert Smith delivery, which I always find very affecting, and he doesn't use very often. And I think I'm pretty sure Roger O'Donnell wrote this song lyrically and musically. I think there was a demo on MIDI or something that it stemmed off of. But some really great lines. The further I get the things that I care about, the less I care about how much further away I get. Uh, uh, what is it? Spitting blood red, breaking windows in my heart. There's just some really incredible lines and imagery, and it has a really intense mood. And in terms of like gloomy goth cure, I think it's a top track. I actually like it much more than Love Song. One of my faves.
Right, over to you, Frank. You're number nine.
All right, number nine. I'm surprised this one is this low, but it's going to be Burn from the Crow soundtrack. Yeah, there it is. Represent. This is my first Cure song. I got this soundtrack obviously in '94 through the Nine Inch Nails, Stone Temple Pilots, the whole the grunge alternative rock scene that I was into. And I knew of the Cure, but this is the first track I ever heard of theirs, and it was a really special one. I love it's like one of the first bass lines I ever learned to play, just that rumbling, E string groove. It's forever special. I love that they finally started playing it live. And the reason it's number nine is because I feel like they've been playing it every single show since 2016. And I kind of think it might want to go back to being a curio. I think it's special to hear it back then, and now it's a little overcooked. But I do love it very much. It's my introduction to The Cure, and a lot of people's only Cure song. And for that alone, it deserves a special place in my heart. Burn.
Great pick. That's me, number nine. Um, I'm gonna go with the B-side to In Between Days, The Exploding Boy. Now, apparently it's not on my 12-inch version of In Between Days, which only has an extended version and Stop Dead. So I'm also gonna just bring up my Join the Dots box set because it is collected on there as well. Maybe it was too similar in style to In Between Days, but I would definitely have preferred this track on the head on the door instead of the song Screw. But The Exploding Boy, 1985, fantastic track, my number nine. All right, Greg, your eight.
All right, for number eight, I'm going to go with the B side of the High single from 1992, a song called Play, which is just, it's one of those classic Cure tracks that wonder why maybe it wasn't on the album. But that song just rolls out, and I'm immediately like, oh yeah. It's just one of those, it's just The Cure. And it's got some really superb guitar playing. I don't really have much else to say about it. It's just like classic Cure, and deserves to be heard a little better. So number eight, Play.
Choice. Dream Pop Jesse, number eight.
Okay. So, well, I guess you can see it pretty well. So basically, I'm gonna go with Harold and Joe, the B side for Never Enough. When this single came out, I saw the big mix and all that, but then I went straight to Harold and Joe, and I thought that was just kind of a plucky that guitar. in it, or maybe it's even just like the higher strings on the bass. I'm not really sure. I've never looked it up, but I loved the lyrical content. I never really understood it. It was just kind of a happy song, kind of like just like Heaven and Freedom and Love, I guess. But yeah, that's gonna be in mine for that
Good,
one.
good choice. Kevin, number 8.
Okay, for number 8, I'm going with Carnage Visors in all of its half-hour length. It's also a track 9 on the Faith Remaster double disc edition. There's like a break after the album, and then track 9 comes in. But it's been also, I grew up with it on this 2 albums in one cassette. You can see it here. I think they used it as an opening on the Faith tour. Anyway, amazing piece. I talked in the last video about how bass heavy Faith the album is, and this is similar with just the 6 string basses, like 2 basses going on at the same time, and it's just such an immaculate piece of work where it's like it feels so precise the way like the drums and percussion, and it feels like maybe there's a artificial drums at some point too, just kind of like clicking into place, and there's these different movements. It kind of builds and builds in intensity. It feels like you're descending into something, and you kind of get lost in it. I first heard it while reading a passage in a book where someone was in a subterranean world and in the dark, and it was perfect. It's like a perfect meeting of what I was reading and what I was listening to at the time. But really odd piece of work in their outlier in their body of work, as it's a half-hour long and instrumental, but essential. I think it's like an essential part of the Cure's history, early history especially. So really love that piece.
Now, Frank, your number 8.
It's also my number 8. So I printed
Ah,
out a little facsimile here. I love Carnage Visors. This was the one that I didn't think to include until very recently. But yeah, what everything Kevin said about it is true. The bass 6 all over it, the dueling basses, if you will, the string synth, the RSO9, which I bought specifically because it's used on this, that droning synth sound. This piece is completely hypnotic. It's gorgeous. I think it's what Simon Gallups Brothers film soundtrack, to be more specific. And just when I listen to it, I have to be completely enraptured in it. I cannot, no distractions, no movement, no other work being done. It has to have my full attention. So Carnage Visors for me, number 8.
My number 8, I'm anticipating that this track will be on everyone's list. I could be wrong, but my number 8, Charlotte Sometimes, the 1981 non-album single. We probably talked about this on in the album ranking video because I'm sure I said I would have liked to have seen this appear on the Faith album, even though maybe it wouldn't have fit. But Charlotte Sometimes, Cure fans know the song, fan favorite, everyone loves it. Beautiful song. Charlotte Sometimes is my number 8. All right, back to Greg, number 7.
All right. For number 7, I'm going with the song Winter from the Three Imaginary Boys Deluxe Edition. I'm not sure exactly when that came out, but the song was recorded in 1978. And I think it's just a really great early track. It's an outtake from the debut album. It was recorded in the same sessions. It absolutely blows my freaking mind that Fiction Records somehow thought it was a good idea to leave that song off the album in place of garbage like Foxy Lady and Weedy Burton. Why? Winter is actually a really wonderfully composed, song. It's, like we talked about in the other video, you hear like Wire and the Buzzcocks, and it's just one of those great like late '70s punky new wave songs, and it's a shame that it wasn't on the record. It would have improved it greatly. So yeah, check it out, Winter.
Nice pick. Dream Pop Jesse, number 7.
Okay, so my number 7, Charlotte Sometimes. Again, I said it before. I used to have 2 gray cats. One of them I named Charlotte after Charlotte Sometimes. I was completely obsessed with the Faith album back then, and I just had to go with that one because it's such a great song. I think my favorite version of this, just to add, is probably the live version from '84 that was featured on a Concert and Curiosity cassette, well, and vinyl, but definitely the live version.
I
That
hope,
is my
I
number
hope
8.
they reissue that. someday
I wish
soon.
they would reissue it as a double album and get the Curiosity, the
Oh, that would be great. That would be great.
I know all of those are from Robert's personal live archives.
Yeah, great choice.
Yeah.
Kevin, number seven.
Okay, yeah, I'm wearing my original motion picture soundtrack, The Crow t-shirt. And here's my original CD, which I cut out this from to tape to my first electric guitar. This whole soundtrack was just of absolute seminal importance to my developing brain and music taste as a 12-year-old. And yeah, it opens up with The Cure's Burn, which to this day, when I put it on, just gives me chills. And I think they have these interesting soundtrack contributions over the years. There's more than this on the X-Files soundtrack, which I really love as well, which came in between Wild Mood Swings and Blood Flowers, where it doesn't really fit on either album. You can kind of hear both albums a little bit there. Same with Burn. It's like I think it's the last song Boris Williams plays on. It's like After Wish, but it doesn't. There's a kind of I don't know. There's like a mechanical something or other, and it just has its own feel to it. It doesn't quite sound like it belongs in any Cure album. And then I feel like the guitar line was a little bit echoed on the loudest sound on Blood Flowers. I think I mentioned that last video. But yeah, when he comes in after that long intro with don't look, the shadows breathe. It's just, and then it builds up to that, like the way the drums, it just gets going. It just builds in such an emotional way without becoming so overtly emotional as so many Cure songs are. It's a really, really awesome song and definitely one of my favorites.
Frank, your number seven.
All right, number seven for me. Kevin, thank you for listing a bunch of Wild Mood Swings B-sides that did not make the cut for me because those are all tremendous songs. Home, It Used to Be Me, yeah, Pink Dream, Waiting, they're all tremendous. My pick for number seven is Ad Nace from the 13th, based upon a Shelley elegy for Keats. So this song is probably my favorite song from the entire Wild Mood Swings era. Getting this CD from the local media play and pouring over it had a little slipcase, where you pull it out into this plastic tray. Love the Dead Toy artwork, the teddy bear and everything, and just the way the song hits, the opening string motifs, the way it swings and sweeps and churns and hits so hard, and then just the echoes of the dream, dream, and the way his vocal treatment is on this is so good. Actually, it feels like putting it at number seven is almost unfair. But Ad Nace, seek this one out. All you Wild Mood Swings naysayers, this is the best track from the era and will knock you on your ass a little bit. Number seven.
Uh, nice. Number seven, I am gonna go with No One Will Ever Take Your Place. This Twilight Garden, B-side to the Wish era high 12-inch single. As I mentioned when I was talking about Lost Wishes, I would have been totally thrilled if Wish would have been a double album with another nine songs, and this and some other ones would have been on that to make my favorite Cure album even soar even higher. So this Twilight Garden from 1992 is my number seven pick. Over to you, Greg, number six.
Well, this will be a probably fairly predictable pick, but in light of what Kevin and Frank said, I'm going with Burn from the Crow soundtrack. As Frank noted, it's one of those world-class Simon Gallup bass lines. Claustrophobic, memorable. I love it. There's not much else to say that you guys already didn't say, so Burn.
Great pick. Dream Pop Jesse at number six.
Number six is Breathe from The Catch 7-inch. Again, it's another Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me B-side. Yeah, another song that probably should have been album, but I'm glad it wasn't, so we can have a little extra for a B-side. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with that one. Number six.
Great choice. Kevin, number six.
Also, this Twilight Garden from the High single, I think it's one of their best B-sides. It's pure Robert Smith, romantic, beautiful. I think he actually has something called the Twilight Garden. I was looking in this Pure Dream tour thing, and they all list 39 things they're grateful for, and Twilight Garden is in Robert's list. So I was like, huh, I wonder what that is. But yeah, there's a way that like the keyboard lines and the bass line burble and interplay on this song that's so beautiful and yeah, it's just been a favorite for a very, very long time. Frank sent me this single in the mail many, many years ago. Got a little note from him in it, and I used to have it set as his ringtone back in the days of the Razor phones. So it's a sentimental fave.
Great choice. Frank, you're number 6.
I forgot I did that. That's great. That's great. You felt good. I'm going to keep the Wish B-sides afloat. Like Brett, I think I said in the last video that anything off Wish B-side era is like the best stuff they really have done. So I'm going to go with the Big Hand, which since I'm having a coughing fit right now, I'm just going to say I love seeing this live with you, Kevin. It's one of the great Pearl gems. Yeah, I forgot about that about Black Star, so it's good to hear that again. So yeah, the Big Hand, number 6.
Great choice. I'm gonna go with my number 6. I'm gonna stay in the Wish era here, and I'm gonna go with the B-side to Friday I'm in Love, Scared as You.
Hmm.
A song about regret. All those things that made you cry. I didn't really mean that stuff. I'm just as scared as you. Um, Goosebump inducing gem. Sometimes it's so hard not to just throw it all away.
Hmm.
That song is just epic. Scared as You, number 6. If you've never heard it before, pause this video, hit play. All right, back to Greg for number 5.
All right, number 5, the B-side of the 1979 Boys Don't Cry single, Plastic Passion, big fan favorite. Might be the best of their early wiry punky tunes. I just love the snide delivery and the production technique really makes the song pop. Some of those other songs from that era like that, like the A side, Boys Don't Cry, are still great, but maybe I'm burned out on them. But for some reason, Plastic Passion, I never get tired of. So, yeah.
Very cool. Dream Pop Jesse, number 5.
Okay, number 5. So this is the 7-inch. It's not on here, but I'm gonna go with Fear of Ghosts. That's another one where I would have to go, yes, Kevin, the vocals, they're kind of like whispery and hushed, and the instrumentation, it almost kind of makes you feel like you're walking through like a darkened corridor. You've got that kind of like wind chimes, like kind of creaking sounds in the background. So good.
Hmm.
The intro line, yeah, it really is kind of jarring. Definitely Fear of Ghosts.
Over to you, Kevin, number 5.
So my number 5 is off the Just Like Heaven 12-inch, but Jesse already mentioned it off the Catch 7-inch. It's Breathe. Breathe Like You Used to. This song is so beautiful. This is another one that Frank turned me on to over the years. And just nostalgic. I had a mixtape I made my freshman year in college called A Ghost of a Smile in the Snow. This song was on there, and I don't listen to it often. And it's one of those like I was saying in the last video. It's one of those songs that Kiss Me, Kiss Me era, Head in the Door era. Sometimes I feel like, oh, maybe that's just stuff that I loved when I was a teenager or whatever. But like I put the song on on the turntable last night, and it just laid me out flat. It's such a beautiful song. It's very much, it's a kind of, it's, a, I'm not sure if ethereal is the right word, but it's not very rooted. It's like very much in these keyboard strings. There's kind of keyboard flutes. There's not a lot of drumming or guitar. Um, and he just has such an aching, keening vocal performance as he's singing wistfully of some kind of, wanting some kind of relationship to be the way it was. And you just know listening to the song it can't possibly be. And it's just really a beautiful, aching, romantic, yearning Cure song of the highest magnitude.
Excellent. Frank, you were number 5.
I'm taking both. I'm taking both the Exploding Boy and a few hours after this. I cannot separate them.
Yeah.
There's some nice shoe chomps on this one on the sleeve. Anyway, we've talked about Head in the Door being one of my personal least favorite Cure records from the classic era. and how these two tracks, especially Exploding Boy, came to be. I understand why they left off the album. I get it. They don't fit. Brett, you mentioned it sounds like maybe a little bit too much like in between days. But for my money, those two tracks, especially Exploding Boy and few hours after this, wipe the floor with almost anything on the record. But the Exploding Boy, my favorite memory of this, obviously, with this is playing this track one time at this place called Coco 66, and people just jumping up on the chair. Like it was almost like a full scale riot. This people are so excited to hear this song. It's so joyous. It's so exciting. It's so magnificent. So in the end, despite me wanting to talk about a few hours after this, it's the Exploding Boy, a beautiful track, best track from the Head of the Door era, in my opinion. My number five.
Number five for me, the sonic equivalent to having your breath taken away at the sight of beauty. The B-side to Catch, Breathe. Also, just like having 12-inch here. My cool, clear version here. Um, I love that Jesse said this. I love that it's a B-side, but surely this song is in my reimagined Kiss Me track listing. Brilliant. This song just takes my breath away. Breathe is my number five. All right, Greg, number four.
All right, you guys have, I think some of you have mentioned this song, but I'm going with Ouya Sound from the Lost Wishes EP. It's an instrumental mini masterpiece, super melodic, majestic. There's a little Celtic flair to the melodies in it, which makes sense because it's reflects, it's a village in Scotland. While you were talking before, I was just looking it up again. It's a village on the Isle of Unst, the northernmost island of the Shetland Islands, taking its name from the neighboring strait of the same name, which looks over the Isle of Uye. So I don't know. I hear a little bit of Celtic flavoring, which would kind of make sense. I love how the water sounds at the very beginning of the track and at the very end. They're kind of like a little final master touch because they also reflect the fact that it's a tidal island. Um, I forget which of you guys said it, but like all of those songs should have been on the album as a double album. Would have been great. I know you, Brett, said that. I think Wish should have been a double album because so many of those B-sides are of better quality even than some of the songs on there. Like even if it wasn't a double album, honestly, if that song had been on Wish instead of say Friday I'm in Love, it probably would have leapfrogged Pornography in my album ranking. So yeah, Ouya Sound. And I could have picked one of the other ones, but that one was my favorite.
Great choice. Dream Pop Jesse, your number four.
Okay, so this is actually hard because I really wanted Halo, but I didn't want to get into the garage and dig stuff out of boxes. So I'm actually going to go instead with a Japanese Dream. Yeah, another B-side from the Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me album. This is actually one of those songs that when you're growing up and you hear a song and you eventually start breaking out and you see like a live show. Well, this is one of those songs where I was like, how would they ever do that live? Because there's so many like weird sounds in it, but they actually did it multiple times on that tour. And I have a few bootlegs where it's on there. That is even live, it sounds identical to the album. So I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah, cool choice. Kevin, number
I
four.
saw them do it live once. It was great.
Yeah, it's weird that
I
they
saw
you know
them
what I
doing
mean?
live once too. Yeah, it was really great.
Yeah.
Choice.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool to see all the Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me B-side love. There are so many. There's always been some that I even forget because I have never had all the singles from that album. And then there's ones that I do have that I forget how good they are. I'm so focused on Breathe, I always forget how good Chain of Flowers is. And then I'm like, wow, Chain of Flowers is really good. But yeah, so my next one I don't have a physical copy of. You all have it in your background, and I'm envious. I want it. Quad Puss. It's New Day. Uh, Frank made me a mix back, a long time ago, the Cure mix, and it was all these B-sides and rarities.
So
So that's
minimal.
where I first. It's the last track, and that's fitting. New Day is such a wild track. It's like, I mean, in terms of Robert's wailing kind of vocal performances, where he goes like,
Yeah.
"Ah," like he stretches out every word in this song, and but it feels so appropriate. It's like it's this kind of cathartic, like you're being dragged to life, forced to live through through another day, and it's a new start, and you're gonna somehow feel good after you've come through this brutal sludge awakening. It's just really his vocal performance is just really like peak that version of Robert, that wailing version of Robert. And then there's just really weird like 80s sound effects kind of going on. There's like, ooh, yeah. There's like these
Yeah.
kind of like intense, kind of like expressive nonverbal things. And then and yeah, and I think there's also like a beatbox percussion track where it's like that. I love the whole sound and feel of that. And then the way the song ends, it has this like sudden, and it's kind of similar to Carnage Visors, the way there's something that happens in Carnage Visors where it feels almost like in film editing, where there's like a cut and they just splice something on suddenly at the end. Like there's a completely different sonic environment that just ends the track very suddenly. And it's like there's like again, I think there's more like nonverbal sounds being made. It's like it might even be like a backwards played thing. It's just so wild and out there. And I've just always think just such a cool, cathartic, weird track. So yeah, New Day. I love that Quad Pussy EP. Wish I had a copy. I'll have to get one.
Excellent. Frank, number 4.
So thanks for picking that because that's what I bumped to put Carnage Visors on here, and I felt really, really bad about it. So thank you for doing that on Justice. It's actually a top era track. I loved hearing that top demo version of it with Soteric or Satiric or whatever it's called, where you can clearly hear him doing New Day on top of it. So it's kind of, for me, it lives in the top era, and it's so cool. Anyway, my number 4 has been talked about, but I do want to talk about it a little more than y'all have, or just in general, because it is Breathe from Catch. This song is a song that like I was so in love with when I first heard it. Like Kevin mentioned, Mixtapes for Girls Part 405. This was particularly a favorite. I think Kevin, you mentioned it's grounded completely in keyboards. The keyboard sounds are almost corny, but I like that about it. It's in the same world as like the One More Time. Some of the other songs of Kiss Me, with that like really, really. There's not really string synths. It's not orchestral, but it is like completely in the 80s, and I love that about it. And the minimal lyrics, that there's only a few short sentences, and they just hit so hard. They're so beautiful, so excellent. This song was an obsession because on Join the Dots, I think maybe it was so low the last time we did a video that we scrapped because it hurt my ears, and it was so brick walled. But this getting back to the 12-inch version and finding a nice CD copy of it really made me fall in love with it, and listening to the song 100 times in the past couple weeks to find the correct version that like ticks all the boxes and doesn't make my ears hurt was the way to go. And maybe fall in love with it all over again. So Breathe, what a special song, and I love it so much that even number 4 seems low.
Excellent. Has that one been on everyone's list so far? Or is Greg the missing one? Yeah.
So I'm the only one. Now I want to go listen to it again.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4 for me. This has been talked about a few times already. Another Wish era B-side, The Big Hand, and this copy was a gift from Kevin. So thank you again, Kevin, for this well-loved single in my collection. Wow, The Big Hand. So my first exposure to this song was that live version that was included in that Cure Play Out. That was a pay-per-view special back in, I think, 1992. And my friend had recorded that onto VHS. He bought the pay-per-view and he recorded that complete thing, and then he brought it over for me. And I haven't listened to that version in a long time from that concert, but I still feel like that's the ultimate version of it is the one on that live Cure Play Out. But a total gem. The Big Hand. What else is there to say? Great track. The Big Hand is my number 4. Greg, number 3.
All right, a few of you guys have picked this one already. I'm going with This Twilight Garden from the High single, 92. Absolutely gorgeous song, same or better quality than the rest of Wish. Again, like I said before, I wish that this song had been on Wish, even the version that we got. Not that I don't love Wish, but there's a couple of songs on it that I don't love as much as this Twilight Garden. It's an absolutely incredible song. It's stunning. So yeah, this Twilight Garden.
Great choice. Jesse, number 3.
The Big Hand.
Cassette.
Yeah, I brought that cassette out. Yeah, when you mentioned the Cure Play Out VHS, and I was looking at my VHS of Play Out last night, and that performance kind of made me think of like adding this into uh my top. Otherwise, I was originally gonna go with like songs like Babel, um, from Fascination Street. But yeah, I'd have to say that The Big Hand is like a very special song
Great
from
choice.
the era.
The version of Cut from Play Out is so great.
Yeah,
Really, I think it's like a faster tempo, if I remember. It's really just high energy. Pearl's solo, just the guitar playing, so good.
Yeah. And Wendy Time too. I think I mentioned
Uh,
this in the other video. Wendy Time in its darker, earlier post-disintegration version was actually a tremendously good song from the play
yeah.
out sessions. And I'm glad we got that demo of it. 'Cause-
Kevin, top 3 here.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna keep talking about Wish B-sides. Just an incredible era. The Wish era is just so amazing, and the album is so good. We talked about that in our last video, how great that album is. And like you said, Brett, like, can you trust a Cure fan who doesn't like Wish? Uh, but then it gets extended into all these just amazing, like, best ever B-sides and the Lost Wishes cassette, which has been getting a lot of love in this video. I'm glad you guys have been talking about it. It's just such a fertile era of amazing, amazing, rich Cure stuff. So for me, don't have a physical copy. It's on the Friday I'm in Love single. I'm glad you talked about Scared as You. That's an amazing track. For me, it's Halo. Hey, and so I'm representing for you, Jesse. Halo, this song is just perfect. It's just a perfect song. I've tried to make playlists over the years of like songs that make me happy, whether I want to be happy or not. And Halo is one of those songs. I can't not be happy when Halo is on. It just puts me in such a good mood. It's my favorite ever like happy love song that Robert Smith has written. And it's just there's just a perfection to the way the melodic line chimes and the rhythmic like crack and snap of the beat and the way it locks into the bass groove. Just it's just delicious. It's a delicious pop confection. Um, and yeah, I mean, in general, I like the B sides way more than the A sides to like all the Wish material. Uh, and yeah, Halo it was hard. Getting into this top 3. It was hard to pick which one. Halo is that much of a love of mine.
That's like when Friday My Love came out as a single. I remember I was living with my dad that summer, and he had this huge stereo in his basement, and I got the paper sleeve and the digipack for Friday My Love, and I think that the paper sleeve is actually misprinted,
Oh yeah.
but it still has Halo and Scared as You on it. And I think he went out to dinner with his girlfriend or something at the time, and I played that. That was another one where I played it so loud, and then I skipped back to the start of Scared as You and played it even louder.
Yeah, and it's such a
You just
juxtaposition of
don't get
those
it.
two songs. Halo and Friday I'm in Love are so happy, and then Scared as You is such a, as this Brett talked about it, but yeah, it is
Yeah.
that kind of song. You play it on repeat and so loud. I've had it on in my car, and I just play it again off that Cure Mix CD. I just play it like
Yeah.
over and over and over and over again. I just like can't get enough of it. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Over to you, Kevin.
Oh, I have
Frank,
to take a pic.
Frank, sorry.
Not the first
Jesse
time I
was
said.
talking, and I was like, oh, it's Jesse. I
Sorry.
forgot we had a tangent there. All right,
Yeah,
over to
no,
you, Frank.
sure, yeah. And thank you for putting Halo, for giving some love to Halo, because New Day and Halo were the two that I felt really bad leaving off. Of all the other ones, wrong number, more than this, whatever. No, New Day and Halo were the ones that hurt the most. But Kevin's already kind of talked about this a lot, and so is everybody. This Twilight Garden is my number 3. It's an imaginary wedding song in my mind. I'm so glad I got to hear this live on their 2016 tour. They played it with these beautiful gulls and birds behind them. Beautiful track, this sweeping, epic, lush, perfect. And it's this whole single, like I mean, we already talked about how much I love High through Gavin, through my son, but then also this Twilight Garden play. What a perfect single. But this Twilight Garden is really a special one, and it remains an important track in my life.
Great choice. Number three for me, I think Kevin said this when we first started. The Cure is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, has the greatest collection of non-album tracks and B-sides. Another one that comes to mind is Suede. Suede has a fantastic catalog of B-sides. And but this track, why it wasn't put on Wild Mood Swings in lieu of Gone or Strange Attraction is super puzzling to me. This one is a total favorite. The B-side to the 13th, I think Frank already had this one, 1996, Adonais. Just an absolutely wonderful Cure song. And number three on my non-album tracks, but in the grand scheme of things, just top tier Cure song overall for me. That's number three. All right, number two, over to you, Greg.
Final two. Wow. Okay. This has been mentioned before, but I'm going to talk a little bit about Carnage Visors, the soundtrack to the film of the same name from 1981. Utterly hypnotic, beautiful use of repetition and minimalism in a sort of quasi Philip Glass style. I would have to say, as a Cure fan in the mid '80s, this was like one of the most important things to me, and it's still in my all-time favorite Cure things. If this was an album on its own, it would definitely be top five. I absolutely love Carnage Risers. I could throw it on anytime. I never get tired of it. Not 1 second of its 27 minutes and 51 seconds is wasted or superfluous. It is immaculately beautiful, hypnotic. And I will share a little wisdom as a elder Cure fan. I know this is a PG-rated podcast, but I'll say back in the '80s, among my circle of friends, this was known as the Cure record for date night, and I can attest it is perfect for such purposes. Carnage Visors.
Great choice, Greg. All right, Jesse, number two.
Okay, number two is Play. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. So Play, when the High single came out, I actually skipped the title track entirely and went straight for the B-sides on this one. And I guess you could say it was kind of, for me, it was the same as Carnage Visors for Greg. Are the two B-sides on here. So number two for me, though, is gonna be Play.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry, everyone. You can't see the chat message that
Oh, yeah, the chat is not PG.
All right. Over to you, Kevin, for your number two.
Okay. It unbelievably at number two should be even higher. The Exploding Boy. Not just a great B-side, not just like a number two B-side, one of the best songs by The Cure ever. It is, and like Frank said, this my 12-inch has The Exploding Boy and a few hours after this, and these songs are like inextricably linked to me. So I thought I had a few hours after this on my list as well because they're both just so great. But I'm not. It's not on here. But that's also an amazing song. But The Exploding Boy, like Frank said, it's just the fast strumming, the burbling, the bass. It almost sounds like it's like pitch shifted up a little bit. I don't know how to explain it. And the horn, there's like this braying horn that comes out at the beginning, and it almost sounds like a kazoo somehow. It's like it sounds plastic. It's so odd. It's such a wonderful collection of sounds. And it's just got such an amazing, like irrepressible energy. And the way he goes, like, hada, hada, he kind of does it a few times throughout the song after singing some things, and just the way that it goes to the lyrics, tell yourself it's not the end, tell yourself It couldn't happen, not this way, and not today. And the way he gets done in that line, not today, just such an anthemic, huge chorus. I mean, this song to this day just fills me with a feeling of bursting. I mean, I put this on in the record player, and I was like, I couldn't help but just spin and dance around the room and like fall to my knees. It's just every time Frank plays it out sometimes when he's DJing, and it's just this is the best thing. This is peak Cure to me, and I would take this single over the Head in the Door album in its entirety any day of the week. These two songs on the B-sides, Splitting Boy and a few years after this, are just some of my favorite Cure songs ever, and it just never get old for me. So yeah, In Between Days, B-side, The Exploding Boy.
Excellent. Frank, your number two.
So I'm going to break the trend of Cure songs to make Whoopi too, and I'm going to go. Although I guess maybe you could try it for this one. I'm going to go with Charlotte Sometimes. Powerful and dark, and we talked about last time. It's a transitional track between faith and pornography, and it's such a great moody track. I love the video where the girl is walking through that boarding school that's also used in Total Eclipse of the Heart. It's the same exact setting. But I mean, I think a lot of people don't like that video, but I find it really ghosty and cool. One day I'm going to read this book. One day I'm going to do it. Maybe tonight after we finish this. Charlotte Sometimes is to me peak Cure. One of the only, I think, if other than like Wrong Number and Never Enough, the only non-album single that exists. Or cut here maybe. Okay, right, sure. But of the early era, it's such an important track, and I love it with every fiber of my being. Number two.
Frank, on the last video, you talked about the drum sound that's from and also the Trees first EP that Robert Smith produced and how that goes in pornography. I was listening to Charlotte Sometimes again last night, and I noticed, to my ears, there's the beginning of that drum sound kind of happening on that track. It's kind of in between, kind of makes it a bridge between faith and pornography, I think.
It does. And I guess I'll recap that quickly. The Cure brought and also the Trees on with them for the Faith tour. It was either Carnage Visors, the film opening, or and also the Trees. And Lowell produced them. Robert produced their first demo tape. They were a band that was deeply influential to the Cure. And yeah, the drum sound starts gestating here. Like, good point, Kevin. And really, you hear it on Pornography. That really heavy, reverbed, thrashing, hard, pummeling drum sound. That, good call on Charlotte Sometimes. I didn't even think that it would be there as well. That makes sense. Cool.
I also pulled out the debut and also the Trees after we filmed the first video, just because Frank talked about it and you just seen them in France, I think. So that was great to pull that out for a listen. Yeah, that expands.
You hear it, right? You hear it now. So this is silence and short-term effect and all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
My number two, Burn from The Crow. I mean, wow. I know I probably told this story in the last video, but my brother and I went to see The Crow 3 times in the movie theater when it came out just to hear Burn. So only place you could hear it at the time was in the movie, and it's just such a chilling song, and the way it's used in the movie is just so great. That song also for me kind of signifies the end of an era for The Cure, with Boris Williams departing after it. But Kevin, you're kind of right about this. Like, that song is an anomaly. It doesn't fit in anywhere else. It's a perfect transitional piece to take it from that kind of, like, I don't know, what maybe most people think of like the classic Cure era lineup. Maybe going from, Head on the Door through Disintegration with Wish as well. I know Lowell had left at that point, but that album or that song is a definite transition, and it's just so fantastic. So for me, number two is Burn from the Crow soundtrack. All right. Number one, Greg.
Right. Well,
Yep.
Frank, you pretty much said everything I wanted to say about this, so I'll just try to say Charlotte Sometimes, number one. One of the most perfect, most essential Cure songs ever. I have been listening to this for over 40 years, and I've never tired of its glorious, dark, melodic charms. It's just an incredible, perfect song. Everything you said is correct about it kind of being the transition between faith and pornography. It stands on its own, though. It's perfect. It's wonderful. It's magic. It's just the Cure. At to me, almost their most magical. It's probably my second favorite Cure song after Just One Kiss. It's beautiful and magic. So Charlotte sometimes number one.
Great choice. Dream Pop Jesse, your number one.
Wow, chicka wow wow.
Oh no.
So my number one is this Twilight Garden. Um, there's like every single ethereal sound in this, like the bass, the lyrics, the no one will ever take your place. I am lost in you. No one will ever take your place. So in love with you. Like, wow. That's like a deep song. And that is a song that I wished I could have seen live. I know they played it some of the New York show and like the trilogy shows. Um I do have a soundboard recording of it though, but it's still even live, it still has that emotion that makes it such a great song where I just could repeat it every day and not really ever get sick of it. That
Great,
is my number one.
great choice. Kevin, what is your number one?
Thank you everyone for talking about Charlotte sometimes. It's a little dishonest of me, but I left it off the list because I knew everyone else would put it on there, and it's just obvious one of the best songs. But for me, number one, and this is wholeheartedly, truly my number one Cure non-album track. Been talked about a couple times. It's Adonais off of the 13th, one of the 13 singles. One of the most powerful, moving, epic, poetic Cure songs. Cure and their, totally in their high seriousness mode. Um, I mentioned in the last video how I was trying to, when I was getting into The Cure, Wild Mood Swings was the album that was most recently out. And so some of my first purchases were like the 13th singles, like all of them, and the main car singles, all of them. And so Adonais is one of my earliest like Cure like possessions. And to this day, it kind of it moves. It has this again just a powerful kind of locked groove with the way the lead guitar line kind of chimes rhythmically chimes. I'm not the best when it comes into talking about like music theory. Brett's great at that, but there's just something so hypnotic about this song. And again, I talked in the last video about how I think when Robert Smith goes into like Keats and Shelley stuff like that, he's really just it's just nourishing, like on like a soul level. Yes, as mentioned, the original poem Adonais, very long, very beautiful, was written about John Keats after his passing by Shelley. I'm not sure exactly what Robert Smith's inspiration was in adapting it somewhat musically, but there are these lines like dream yourself awake again, an eternity of this, um, here with me. It's so moving and so powerful and so mysterious, and it's just really one of the peak Cure songs of all time, album, non-album, whatever. Just and yeah, and probably better than the entire album Wild Mood Swings, if I'm honest. So except for maybe Jupiter Crash. So yeah, Adonais.
Excellent choice. All right, Frank, you're number one.
All right. So this has been talked about again, but I'm going to try to say my piece on it. Fear of Ghosts, the B-side of Love Song, the Roger penned track, 6, 7 minutes long. I I want to live in this song forever. I think the lyrics are beautiful. It's another one like Breathe. It's another one of those sparsely minimal lyrics. Kevin already mentioned the lines. And the further I get from the things that I care about, the less I care about how much further away I get. But also the outro. I think it's I'm lost again with everything gone and more alone than I've ever been. Just the murmurs, right? You can't really hear what he's saying, but when you lean in close, and I expect you to understand and to feel it too. But know that even if you will, you could never help me, and I can never help you. And just the world and the mood and the beauty and the sensuality this song creates. The hypnotic bass groove, the way it slams in louder, which I understand was a mastering error. but has been corrected and joined the dots. But I love the error. I love when it comes in so much louder after the lyrics, when it just almost like makes your ears bleed. Um, yeah, it doesn't. I would have a hard time with that Disintegration, but it's the same emotional impact as like the title track does for me, where it's just like whenever I hear it, it just gets me into a frenzy, and I cannot pull away. I could not resist it. I would take the song to the abyss. Um, so yeah, Fear of Ghosts, my favorite. It's actually one of my possibly my top three Cure tracks of all time, and my favorite non-album tracks of theirs. Period. Discovering this was a delight, and if you haven't heard it, book yourself 7 minutes with a candle and book yourself another hour to put on loop. Number one.
Great choice. Frank, can you please keep that out? My number one pick, and I think Frank, Kevin, Jesse all know what this one is.
Too legit to quit.
That is the B-side to Love Song. That's not Fear of Ghosts, but it's Too Late. 1989, one of my absolute favorite Cure songs. Um, so I'll wait for you where I always wait, behind the signs that sell the news. I'll watch for you like yesterday. How often do we experience like an overlapping of the past with the present? Like when you walk or you drive by some place that contains a powerful memory of the past, you kind of see yourself then and now, knowing that what once was can never be that way again. It just really chokes me up every time I hear this song. Um, Three verses. The third verse is the same as the first, but he also sings that final verse really gently before the song just comes to a close. There's no real chorus to the song. Um, and I mentioned this back in our past when we did the album ranking video. And I feel like this may have come up in my kind of discourse, but um, I've kind of talked about how certain non-album songs, surprise, like, well, why didn't that song make the album in lieu of like a different song on there? But even though Too Late is like one of my absolute favorite Cure songs, I just don't think it would have fit on Disintegration. And it's perfect, absolutely perfect right where it is, being this kind of hidden gem for people to discover. But yeah, my number one favorite non-album track and one of my absolute favorite Cure songs is Too Late. So there we go. For those of you watching, if you want to check out each of our individual playlists, I will put links for those in the description so you can listen to some of these tracks. If your knowledge of The Cure maybe is just the singles, I highly encourage you to check out these non-album songs because like we've talked about throughout the video, The Cure are an absolutely fantastic non-album, B-side, soundtrack, whatever, so many great songs in their catalog that are just not part of their albums. So, and if you did miss part one, our album ranking, the link is there as well. I encourage you. It's 4 hours long, but it's a good time, I think. So, thank you to Greg, Dream Pop Jesse, Kevin, and Frank for being a part of this. And thank you all for watching. We look forward to reading your non-album track lists in the comments below. And thank you again for watching. We'll see you next time with a new artist. Goodbye. Thank you.